And we're coming to you live for the Build Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are on the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. Hope you had a wonderful holiday, Thanksgiving, the whole deal, Black Friday. Enjoyed the football, some time off, and we are back to talk all about it. And I said it was very important for the Jets to win some games down the stretch, and that's why they need to make the switch to Tyrod Taylor. And if Aaron Glenn's going to turn this whole culture thing around and build this thing up from the ground up and change all of it, it's going to have to be with wins like yesterday. And yes, I know it's the crappy Atlanta Falcons, and yes, I know that no one's at the game, and it just feels weird, and it's not really impactful in the scheme of the 2025 NFL season, but it is impactful for the coach, the players that are going to be here next year, and those making the decisions. That was good to see. Some really big NFL stories we will get to, and the Giants and the Patriots tonight. Some Mets drama, some craziness. Can't wait to get into it. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. And, it was nice to have 4 days off. I'll tell you, it's hard to get up this morning, though. I don't know about you. And normally, when I'm not working, I'm normally up around 7:15 to 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Which represents at least a 3 to 3.5 hour
difference.
And which is really amazing. So for the last 4 days, I've had that 3.5 hour difference. And it was really hard, especially after last night, wanting to see whether or not Dan Quinn was going to go for two. And he did, and thank God he did, because it ended up where Washington did not score on a 2-point conversion. They end up losing the game in overtime to the Denver Broncos, who now have won 9 straight games, and in all 9 games that they have won, they have been behind at some point in that game, and they've had notable fourth quarter comebacks, including, of course, the Giants and the Jets. Which is amazing. But, yeah, to get back to your Jet point, hey, look, man, you're going to hear a lot about tanking this and tanking that. That's not in the players. That's not in the coach's DNA. We talk about this every year around the same time. Everybody wants to go out there. They want to win. You know, Aaron Glenn wants to have that sense of relief and winning in that locker room. So when the locker room, is tight and you're all in there together and you've just won a game, it's a big deal, especially with the way the Jets did win the game yesterday, which was amazing. When you think about their special teams and you think about Tyrod Taylor, it wasn't anything spectacular.
No.
But, it was great. It's great for him, and it's great. And everybody in the league, especially on the bottom third teams where they're all eliminated now, they're all auditioning either for the coaches that are going to remain there, like a Kellen Moore and a Aaron Glenn, or they're auditioning for somewhere else, because if they didn't, how would the Jets know about Adonai Mitchell? How else would they know about John Mechie III? How else would they know about Harrison Phillips? Like, they know these things, and they know these players could come available within trades. And you're going to hear a lot about some of the stuff that Darren Muji has led the Jets to this point, and some of the players that he has added via the trade route, as well as all of the picks that they have.
Yeah, I mean, when it was a few years ago and they went into L.A. and beat the Rams with Adam Gase as the head coach, and, Frank Gore had a big game, and that was a Trevor Lawrence year. And we know that Trevor Lawrence has been a little disappointing. We thought he was going to be, an Andrew Luck type of guy. Hasn't quite gotten there yet, for sure. But that was one where it was annoying to me, because I felt like we had that guy was going to be here. The Jets were the worst team in the league. He was a consensus #1 overall pick. Them winning that game bothered me. I don't know who the consensus #1 overall pick is. I know the Jets are going to have to pick a quarterback. Maybe they still get their guy like the Giants did with Jackson Dart later in the first round. But we've said it so many times. It's the Jets. Like, there's so much rebuilding that has to go on.
Yeah.
And if Aaron Glenn just took this team to just no more wins the rest of the year, and there's bitching and moaning from the players, and then you don't know if you've got the right coach, and all these things are going on, and you don't win games like this at home against crappy teams, that's a way worse situation to be in than what we're seeing now, which is okay, maybe they have the 5th or 6th pick, but they don't have the top pick, but they're winning some games and they're starting to believe in themselves. So that's why I thought it was important to have Nick Folk, make that kick. He misses the one earlier. He's laughing about it. He sneaks that one in there. It's just absolutely amazing. And I was at the tap room for a WFAN event yesterday. There's a ton in the one in Ronkonkoma, which was great. But there's a ton of Jets fans, and there's a ton of them in there, still with the jerseys. Every single one of them.
And they want them winning.
Every single one of them was cheering like crazy when that field goal went in. None of them came up to me and said, I can't believe they won. They screwed up. Oh, you screwed up the draft pick or any of that stuff. We didn't hear any of that. Everybody was cheering. Everybody was into it. So, in a horrible season for both of these teams, and there's been some more positives with the Giants because of Jackson Dart and Scatterboo before he got hurt and all of that. This was one of those positive moments.
All you have to do is look at the reaction of the players after Nick Folk makes the kick. I mean, that just tells you all there is to know. I mean, it's a hard league, man, and it is a week-to-week league for sure. But there's a lot of time and effort that go into, 3.5 hours on Sunday in this case. And there's nothing better than winning. And there's nothing worse than losing, especially, depending on how you lose and what your team looks like. But the fact that this game was a snooze fest in the first half,
it was
of course impossible to watch.
Well, that's why, it was great to be at a place that had the Sunday ticket because when the game was a snooze fest, I'm watching everything else and paying attention to it. So, I'm not sitting here saying it was a great football game or it's something we're going to remember for the rest of time. But in a season where the Jets, I've been hammering them and it's some of the things that have gone on. This was the opposite of that, and I'm being fair about it. It just was. I was rooting for them to win the football game for the exact reasons that we had talked about, and how switching to Tyrod Taylor, giving him a chance, starting to believe. Aaron Glenn being having that moment in the locker room where you could actually post something positive on social media about him talking to a team in the locker room after a win. Like all these little things can add up and turn into big things.
You want to talk about what NFL owners are looking for? All you have to do is look at Ben Johnson after they beat the Eagles in Philadelphia on Thursday. On Friday.
Shirt off, dancing,
screaming and yelling. Guys, like that guy's got an attitude. I told you he had an attitude. You just never saw it because it was hidden behind Dan Campbell. I mean, he was choosing his places to put his personality out there, but it wasn't like what we're seeing now in Chicago because he's the head man.
Yeah,
and if you can't, if you don't believe that the head coach has an incredible effect on people, then you don't know the game.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing that, man.
No, but I'm
NFL.
just saying, but when you see the way that Caleb Williams has played and progressed over the year, you know that 100% is coming from the head coach. 100%. And you can say the same thing about what's going on in New England and why, Josh McDaniels, that hire was so important by Mike Vrabel. Now, Mike Vrabel has stabilized the whole entire franchise, and everything is on his shoulders. But he knows that Josh McDaniels working with Drake May is going to be a great thing. And they're going to, and obviously up to this point, they win tonight, they'll reclaim the number one seed in the AFC because right now they're behind, even though they're tied and they're going to have one more game than Denver. Right now, Denver is the number one seed in the AFC by virtue of like some crazy tiebreaker, I think. Common opponents or something like that, win percentages or anything. But if the Patriots do win tonight, they reclaim the one seed.
Yeah, and if I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, those two situations that you just talked about and what the Giants are in, where they have their young quarterback they believe in. And I know Caleb Williams didn't feel as much like that at the end of the year as Drake May did, but still was a number one overall pick. It showed some, real talent out there last year, even in a bad year. But you got the quarterback, young quarterback that you believe in. Head coach gets fired. The Bears actually fired their guy in the middle of the season like the Giants fired theirs in the middle of the season. One went out and got the preeminent offensive coach that everybody wanted in Ben Johnson. The other team got the stabilizing, kick-ass attitude defensive coach, paired him with the best offensive coordinator in the game, and now they're both sitting here leading their division. So that is the blueprint for the New York Giants.
So the real question is there untested as a head coach, offensive coordinator out there that you think has the attitude and can project like Ben Johnson?
Well,
or who is the coach that has been through the ringer and is going to bring in an offensive coordinator that is going to make sure that they get the best out of Jackson Dart?
So the second one's a little bit easier to answer, and I had been saying that there's just no shot that this was going to happen, but after seeing what happened yesterday, I'm starting to believe there could be a chance that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers separate. You got the fans chanting fire Tomlin. You now have Aaron Rodgers doing his stuff where he's trashing his own offensive players. They went in all in on this. They spent so much on the defense, went out and got Aaron Rodgers to try to go after it and win some playoff games to get back, and now it's sliding away again. They got a huge game against the Ravens, but if that thing falls apart, they miss the playoffs, or they end up having a losing season, maybe this is the time that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers separate. So that if that is a real option, then that would be the Vrabel type of guy.
I don't see it.
I still don't see it. I still don't think it's more unlikely than not, but the calls are loud, and this is like the loudest it's ever been.
Yeah, but I don't see the Giants hiring Mike Tomlin.
Why not?
I just don't.
Why?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, what has he done offensively since Ben Roethlisberger has left?
Well, he's got Jackson Dart now, so that's the thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's more of a point to why you would hire him than not.
Well,
you get a good offensive coordinator in there, and the biggest thing to me with Mike Tomlin is not so much like it's making sure that he has the right coordinators, because when they were winning, it wasn't just Ben; it was also Bruce Arians was there with him. And then after they broke up that situation, they were never that good. So. And then he ended up hiring a bunch of guys that Mike was always going to be the alpha guy in the room, and he never really brought anybody else in like that until the Artie party, which hasn't worked out all that well. It would be great. I'm surprised because, I mean, you talk about like a guy who is consistently, no matter what, found a way to win and did not have losing seasons despite everything that's going on. Like, why would you not want that guy?
I think it's more than, I just think it's really the team's culture. I think they draft well, except for a quarterback. They can't seem to find one. But I don't know. I just
you don't think he's a good head coach?
I don't see it here in New York. I really don't.
Why?
I just don't. I don't. It just doesn't fit for me. I don't know. I think Mike McCarthy would fit more from a established head coach. But there may be other coaches that are getting fired here.
Sure.
But again, sometimes rebound coaches, it doesn't work. Sometimes they need a year off. Like Vrabel took a year off.
He did, yeah.
Ben Johnson was, actually Ben Johnson turned down a number of teams.
Yeah, and there's no one quite like him. Now, obviously, there's going to be offensive coaches that'll be coveted, but there's no one quite like Ben Johnson because he, as you just mentioned, that first hiring cycle that he was a big part of, he turned down the jobs.
Yeah,
and
right.
Everybody knew that last year with the Lions was going to be his last year as offensive coordinator. He was going to take a job. There's not somebody like that right now that is the be-all, end-all, unquestioned next offensive guru who's going to get a head coaching job. Now, there's guys, but not like he was. I mean, that was an undisputed, like, if you can get Ben Johnson, you get Ben Johnson.
Yeah, that's right. He was clearing away the guy. There's no question about it. But, I'm not saying that this – I'm just saying that guys like Raheem Morris may be out there, Zach Taylor may be out there, Mike Tomlin may be out there. There could be head coaches who have had success that are going to be out there that, I don't know, that they have to interview. Though I'm not saying that any one of those guys is the guy. I mean, this whole thing about Mike Tomlin coming to the Giants, boy, wow, I don't know. I think I'd be a little bit surprised.
Well, I would still be surprised. I mean, just last week I was saying how I didn't think it was going to happen, but then I see the Steeler fans chanting fire Tomlin. I'm just thinking sometimes these decisions make themselves, and to see Aaron Rodgers with his busted up nose doing his thing where he's, hammering his teammates, and then he's just projecting the end of the year where maybe they don't make the playoffs, maybe they do have a losing record. This is going to be a huge game this week, and it's just like I could just start to feel a little bit more about them getting together, the Rooney family and Omar Khan, the general manager, and be like, listen, maybe this is time. It's just we're spinning our wheels here.
Well, they're gonna have to find another quarterback. I mean,
well, yeah.
This. I mean, to me, it looks like it's it for Aaron Rodgers, especially after the blow up yesterday. By the way, I mean, this is how close the NFL is right now. There are currently 11 teams with at least a 20 or 1 Super Bowl odds. Better, 20 to 1 would be the highest, and then be a few that would have a much better odds than that. But I mean, this is the most through week 13 since, I think, 2010. I mean, like this thing is wide open right now, and there's 5 divisions with a lead under one game this late in the season. The first time in NFL history. So you have like the Ravens are at 6-6, the Steelers are at 6-6. The Jaguars are at 8-4, the Colts have fallen off, they're 8-4. The Rams are 9-3, the Seahawks are 9-3. The Bears are 9-3. They lead the Packers, who are 8-3-1. And then the NFC South, the Buccaneers are 7-5, and they lead the surging Panthers, who are 7-6. That's amazing.
I mean, after that loss yesterday by the Rams, the NFC, it's just 1 week, and maybe they, get it back together. But it feels as open as it's ever been with the Panthers winning that game, which was a wild one yesterday. And I know you've said many times this year, Dave Canales, he keeps this up. He's coach of the year, like hands down, maybe unanimous.
I know Ben Johnson looks pretty good right now, too.
That's true. Yeah, here's another one.
I would say Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Dave Canales, those guys all look pretty good. I mean, you could also say the same thing about Mike McDonald out in Seattle.
Yeah. And speaking about Mike Mix, how about Mike McDaniel, who we thought was going to be gone? All he's done is win.
3 in a row now.
Hey, we thought this guy was going to be gone before Brian Daboll, and rightfully so.
Well, their schedule loosened up a little bit.
But still, man, he's getting the job done. I mean, it's he was teetering on losing absolutely everybody there. And, yeah, I understand that they beat the Saints at home, and it got even a little bit dicey towards the end as they recover an onside kick and everything else. But still, they're winning.
The amazing thing, we were talking about the Eagles, and all right, so they're still in first place. They're comfortably going to make it to the playoffs. They averaged 15.5 points per game in the month of November.
They were horrible in that Black Friday game. That defense, that front, I hadn't seen that defensive front get manhandled like that of the Philadelphia Eagles since Chip Kelly was the coach out there.
Did you know that point total in the month of November was their lowest scoring month in 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it.
How do you? I don't understand something. You have one. Now, I know you've had some injuries on the offensive line. You have one of the best offensive lines. You got a running back who ran for 2,000 yards. You got 2 wide receivers who are worth 1,000 yards apiece. You got a tight end that should give you 600, 700 yards, maybe 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, you got a Super Bowl MVP as a quarterback.
How in the hell? What is going on?
I don't know. I mean, I think if you really believe that, Kellen Moore.
Yeah,
I was about to say Kellen Clemens.
He was like when Ben Johnson left Detroit. Everybody's wondering whether or not these offense coordinators are leaving to go elsewhere.
Right. I mean, was he that important to that offense? Nick Sirianni is an offensive guy, right?
Yes.
So you would think the drop-off wouldn't be that bad. But then again, let's go back to 2 years ago when Nick Sirianni was on the hot seat. They fired the coordinators, didn't really consult him.
They lost their defense coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, to Arizona.
Okay. Maybe they didn't fire him. They lost both of those guys. Well, but they kept Sirianni, but said, we're going to hire the coordinators. And they brought in Fangio and they brought in Kellen Moore.
Yes.
And Sirianni was not a part of those things, right? So then they go on and win the Super Bowl with those 2 guys. Now Moore's gone and the offense stinks again.
How about the Bears have swept the NFC East? They've beaten every team in the NFC East and then went 5-0 in November, and that's the first time in 66 years that the Bears have gone 5-0 in the month of November.
Yeah, those fans out there, they deserve it. They are hardcore football fans.
I mean, if there is a fan base that does deserve it, it's that fan base.
Yeah, they're up there. They've been through hell and back with the quarterbacks and the coaches and everything else, and they got to be riding high this morning. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.